Welcome back. Our concluding moments with Dr. Femi Otobanjo, Professor of Political Science, and we have some reactions coming through here about what we're discussing. This one comes from Francesca Glover. She says, look, the values you're demanding ought to have been taught by parents to the people who eventually become leaders. So perhaps she thinks, look, it's not all doom and gloom, and if a few governors have been able to transform those values there, who knows? It could just spread across the country. So there's still hope. Yeah,
well, I hope so. I don't share optimism. That's an optimistic way of looking at it. So are we going to begin to send our governors back to their parents or our president? We have gone beyond that. We know that parents should develop values, but sometimes it's beyond parents. We live in a technological world in which young people are on the internet. They are influenced more by the internet than by their parents. So I think that we need the right values, but how do we get it? We have lost it. There's incremental depreciation of national values from the days of the Sardanas and the Awolowos and so on, where they inherited the British attitude to service. You saw the British colonialists. They had nothing, just a knicker and white shirt and white socks and so on, lived in very simple houses. But suddenly we are moved from that. I grew up with a civil servant's father who lived in a big compound, small bungalow, wooden chairs. But today people are talking not of comfort, but of luxury. And that's why they are stealing so much. When people begin to move from simple comfort, if we all pursue comfort, we'll all be comfortable. That's enough for all of us. But if somebody wants to have a gold bath, a gold jacuzzi, with gold-plated taps for hundreds of millions of naira, then of course there will not be enough for the rest of us. And that's because everybody has a luxury mindset that the system is not working. That's why we are buying armored cars. We are buying this. Everything is just the armored car. It's just the tip of the iceberg.
So are you saying then that the way the society is presently structured, that you can have a leader who will pander to the people and it's not the society. It's governance. Governance or the structure of governance?
Governance has been hijacked. It is about a few people, about a few political parties who do what they want, do what they like. It's very difficult to break through. You see, Nigeria is in a bigger mess than we thought.
Yeah, but Prof, isn't this what some leaders in the Middle East thought about themselves and about governance over there before the Arab Spring broke?
Yeah, but what happened to the offspring? It was not national conference. It was mass mobilization of people, mass movement.
And who says that? No, but who says that that's not happening?
I'm here to discuss.
No, I mean
the dialogue.
No, but the awareness of people, their political consciousness. Are we saying that there's not improving over the day? I mean, you see the kind of comments people make on social media. If social media were not there, you would have thought that maybe those comments couldn't have been made by Nigerians because some of them are aloof.
There are cultural differences. There are psychological differences. Nigerian people tend to see themselves in their ethnic cocoons. So that if your man is president, when you are talking about rotation, is the turn of the North, is the turn of the South, is the turn of the Igbos. You already have mobilized the Igbos behind some.
Yeah, but this is a certain percentage. It's not all of them. Yeah. There are lots of people who don't think the same way.
But just lots of people don't come out to do anything. My own people say that everybody, because Nigeria is such a loose mobility environment, in which case anybody can move from being a vulcanizer to being a councillor and be riding an SUV within a few. Everybody thinks that it's about miracles. It's about supernatural movement, not about working and dying for a country. I mean, Nigerians want to die so that the country will be better.
So you don't think that the first step is if this advisory committee?
No, you must look at the cultural. If you look at the history of the Arabs, they are used to struggle. They are used to fighting and dying. We are used to the cushy environment of the tropical warm weather. No challenges. You throw, mangoes are growing freely, bananas are growing freely. The weather, the rain does not take us. There is no hurricane. There is nothing. We are so comfortable.
Does it mean that our leadership challenge is not enough challenge to qualify as such?
Our people are not challenged enough to drive away their leaders. They ought to have done so.
What if they want to do it through civil means?
What is civil?
Is that out of place?
I don't understand what you mean by that.
Well, I mean, what are you suggesting?
I'm not suggesting anything. I'm thinking that we need...
No, when you say we don't want to drive people our leaders, isn't it by voting that we drive away the leaders that we don't want?
People, the votes don't count.
Really?
Yeah, the votes don't count.
In all cases or in some cases?
Most cases. In most elections in Nigeria, it's predetermined. People don't allow the votes to count. I know enough about the system to be able to tell you that the votes don't count.
So, whether or not we have a perfect INEC, the votes don't count?
Perfect INEC. That is our wish. But INEC is not the one. INEC is the one that should supervise the votes. It's not going to be at all the voting centers. But let us go into that. That is an aspect of our problem. How do we get good elections? To get good leaders? So, how is National Conference going to solve that?
So if they discuss it and highlight it, if you were there, for instance, and if there are other people who have this same kind of perspective that you have.
I've known all type of grammar, it did not matter. It was bouncing off. It's like bouncing off, like putting water on the back of a duck. All this grammar bouncing, these people are not listening. Many of them are not watching you unless you abuse them. Unless they say negative, that's when they will write long rejoinders. They are not. Our leaders are not listening to the people. They are governing according to their own agenda.
And you don't think it's a matter of time before all of this
of course, all this will stop sometime. But what is the time that you are waiting for? You see, the problem is today what we have is a cannibalistic state. A state that is consuming its own people on bad roads, bad hospitals, bad schools, training bad children, training children to be giving them poor education because somebody is taking more than he should take for his own comfort. Our roads are bad, people are dying. So we are sacrificing our people for Nigeria. So you don't know it because it doesn't affect you. People are dying of ordinary malaria because they cannot buy the drugs. People are down the road because they are taking horrible vehicles. So how do you solve that problem? Is it by sitting down at a conference and talking? It's a big problem. It is not a problem. We need talking, of course.
Your stance almost sounds like that of the APC.
No. That's, if it's
essentially that's what they
what
have
I'm
to
doing here today. What I'm doing here today is analysis. What I believe in. If we coincide with the APC, so be it. I tell you, there was this as a philosophy postgraduate student. There was this thing that stuck in my mind. They call it the Jensen opera. There was a philosopher who wrote, Anthony Flew. He says, Jensen says, blacks have a lower IQ than whites. And there was this opera. And this man wrote, what if that is the case? What if it's actually scientifically proven? Why should you say that it's politically unacceptable? So you make a decision between science and politics. So it is unacceptable to say that blacks are inferior to whites in terms of IQ. But if it's scientifically the case, if what I'm saying is the truth, it doesn't have to be politically acceptable. It doesn't have to be classified as a PC statement or so on. What I'm telling you, Nigeria has more serious problems than this ordinary talk show. But we have to talk because, as you say, if there's still what do you call it, leashes on you, you continue to scotch them on your fingernails.
Well, the first thing is talking about all of these problems. So if we don't talk and identify these problems, we can't even solve them. So there's hope, Prof.
Yes.
Dr. Femi Otobanjo is a professor of political science. Thank you for coming on this
Thank you very much.
We'll return in just a moment. Please join us again.
Yes.